Yes. Okay.
Rolling.
Roll.
Action. Hello, my name is Dries. I'm a design researcher at Studio Dott, and I've recently completed my PhD research titled Ideating Hybrid Product Service Systems. This is part 2 of a short video series on this topic, and in this part I'd like to spend some more time on how you can start creating and defining a hybrid product service system, which tools you can use, and what you should think and be aware of during this process. In the previous video, I spent some time explaining a framework for hybrid product service systems design. This was more of a theoretical approach to the whole topic. And in this video, particularly, I want to focus on how you can make the translation to practice. What can you do? Which activities can you go through? What should you take into account? And how can you do that? Using which formats? During my research process, I went through several iterations of different kinds of design tools. Some were very structured, others were very open. I experimented with different formats, and eventually this resulted in the IoT Design Kit. Now I can hear you thinking, oh no, he created another design tool. He created another toolbox. There are so many toolboxes out there, and I'm well aware of that. But I try to take a pretty different approach when putting together the IoT Design Kit. Now, what sets this design tool apart from others? The thing is that the IoT Design Kit is created in a very modular way. It is created in a way that does not prescribe how it should or can be used. There are different components part of the design kit, and you can link them together in a way that you like, or in a way that is most useful to your context. But it will never prescribe, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. This can be self-explored and self-experienced depending on your expertise, depending on your needs, depending on your wishes. Second thing that sets this design tool apart is that it consists of not only tools created by ourselves or not tools created as part of this research project. No, it's really a curated set of tools. So there's a couple of other tools in here which link back to existing tools from service design, from strategic design, in order to come to a curated set of design tools which make sense within a hybrid product service systems context. We do recognize there is not really one generic way of starting a hybrid product service systems design process. We've listed at least 4 different ways that you can start such a design process. And the first one, and probably the most common one, is starting from an existing product. So this is typically a company who already has one or more products in the market, and they try to figure out, does it make sense to turn this product into a hybrid product service system? Does it make sense to add digital technology in our product, make it internet connected? What kind of value does that bring for us as a company? What kind of value does that bring for our customers or clients? The second starting point is starting from an idea. So this is typically for smaller sized companies, startups even, and they might have an internet connected product idea, but they're not really sure whether it's viable, whether it's valuable for everyone involved. And you try to figure out, can I make this idea better? Can I improve it? Can I make it more rigid? So that's something you can also use the IoT Design Kit for. A third way to start the hybrid product service systems design process is starting from a problem. And when you start from a problem, you start from a very human or user-centered design approach. So you try to figure out, I've observed this problem in the world, does it make sense to make or design or conceptualize a hybrid product service system for this? And lastly, you can start from technology. A new kind of technology is created or defined, but you don't really know what the application context is or which kind of field it can be applied in. Figure out which context makes sense or is most valuable. Now, the design kit itself, it consists of a collection of templates. They can be printed or used digitally, and cards. Also, these can be printed or used digitally. You can download the whole kit together and then figure out which components make sense to use. In practice, it looks like this. If you print them out on paper and use them with a team, you can endeavor in a very interactive, multidisciplinary design exercise. And depending on which tool you choose, it's either using templates that can be filled out or cards that are arranged on a table. For the remainder of this short video, I'd like to briefly introduce 3 design tools, part of the IoT Design Kit. And I want to show you how broad you can go with this design kit. And let me start by the first one, which is called the expectations template. Expectations template looks like this. It's a printed template, and it really operates on a strategic level. And typically this happens at the very beginning when you are trying to figure out what does it mean if I as a company would endeavor in designing and creating a hybrid product service system. So you really try to figure out what am I expecting from an internet connected product. And we have created a couple of cue cards with some commonly used reasons to create a hybrid product service system. So what this template does is that it invites you to pick one or more of these cards, lay them on the template, and then by asking some critical questions, you get to the bottom of what is the position of my company when creating a hybrid product service system. That's the first, often very overlooked step in these kind of design processes. Expectations template. A second design tool, part of the IoT Design Kit, is a system mapping tool. And this system mapping tool might seem pretty simple from a distance, but every time that I've been doing this exercise with a design team, it always brings forward so many good insights, so many relevant points, that it's really, really valuable to take this pretty seriously. The system mapping tool consists of a couple of cards, and there are 4 different kinds in this card deck. You have person cards, that are the orange cards. There are object cards, that are green cards. We have environment cards, which are blue, and interaction cards, which are pink. And these cards, they can be arranged physically in space to come to a visual overview of a hybrid product service system. And I can show you that with an example on this slide here. So you can clearly see this representation of a hybrid product service system is a combination of different people, so the orange cards, which are linked using specific interactions to objects that are the green cards. And building a network like this, building a visual overview like this, really helps all stakeholders involved, all participants, all members of the design team in figuring out, are we on the same page regarding this idea? Do we understand the same thing? And to give you an example of how that works in practice, is that, for instance, a business developer, they could take this as a starting point to figure out where am I going to create revenue from this hybrid product service system. But a very technical person, they could zoom in on one specific interaction. So depending on who is in the team, they can all do something different with this, but the system mapping tool, part of the IoT Design Kit, provides a common language to really go into detail about how a hybrid product service system is created and put together. A third and last tool is the IoT stress test. And again, I picked out this one to show in this video because it's so specific for hybrid product service systems design. This template is a 2-page A3 template if you print it on paper. And it first asks you to really go into detail about what the concept is all about. So you try to summarize your idea, you try to summarize what you have been trying to design or create. That's what this first part is about. And then you get challenged. And that's usually the interesting part. You get challenged by 10 very critical questions about, did you consider everything regarding future implications? So are you, for instance, aware that if you create a hybrid product service system, you need to have digital servers running for multiple years What will happen when these servers shut down, for instance? Will your product still exist, or what are you going to do? Those kind of very explicit choices need to be made at the moment the product is being designed. A second list of questions is about, are you using the full potential of digital connectivity? And on the second page of this template, you are invited to list which value is being created. So you either create value for your company, for stakeholders involved, or the broader societal context. And depending on whether this value is positive or negative, you can figure out, am I creating a valuable hybrid product service system? So this IoT stress test eventually leads up to a decision moment, like, am I going to pursue this idea, yes or no? Do I need to reconsider elements of it? Or can I maybe integrate with existing products on the market? The IoT stress test is therefore commonly used as the end result of a hybrid product service system design process. That wraps up the second part of this video series. We have all the design tools part of the IoT Design Kit available on iotdesignkit.studiodott.be. You can download the tools there and use them for free. We also have a Miro board available, which you can use to use these tools in your own practice and figure out how that can be done. I look forward to any questions you might have. Feel free to share this video in case you think it makes sense to share the story with other interested people. Thank you.